Hey there. Phishing attacks are becoming more relevant day after day. So, how can you protect yourself? Today on Technically Unraveled, we're going to go through mitigating phishing attacks. Super, super important because MSPs, I know this is a big focus right now, but how can you use your services and tackle these threats and mitigate these risks? Next, we're going to talk about the current trends in the phishing landscape. We're going to dive through what kind of trends are coming, what's new, what's happening, what really goes on behind the scenes there. Lastly, would it be technically unraveled if we didn't talk about AI? It wouldn't. We're going to talk about the rise of AI in phishing because guess what? It's not just me. It's not just you that is using AI. Everybody else is out there. So, how are we going to work through that together? So, on the show today, I am super, super excited for our guest. She's been on another show with us at PAX 8, but first time to Technically Unraveled. Thank you, Tiffany, for taking the time with us today. How are you doing?
I am really excited. I'm super happy to be here. Thank you so much for having me.
Absolutely, Tiffany. Well, since it's a first time on the show, if you'll just introduce yourself and then what do you do at your company?
Yeah, so I'm the founder and CEO at HacWare. I have a deep background in cybersecurity. I've worked with the Department of Defense, held a secret clearance. I was an ethical hacker. I worked as a MSP owner. So I've been in this industry for over 15 years. But what we're doing here at HacWare is we're getting to the root cause of the phishing pandemic problem that's plaguing businesses around the world, because 90% of cybersecurity incidents are because of our lack of understanding around phishing. And so Hackware is getting to the root cause of this problem by creating a cybersecurity education platform that takes the guesswork out of educating employees on what does phishing look like. We use AI to generate real phishing, relevant phishing tests, and then we also are trying to help people understand how do they do their job more securely. And so we have a recommendation engine that trains the employees on the right information they need to protect themselves and their company from cybercrime.
I love it. I'm super excited to have you because on Technically Unraveled, the big things we typically cover AI, modern work, cybersecurity. You're hitting on all of them. But before we really dive in, Tiffany, I know you gave us a couple of those like pretty cool facts. Do you have like a weird, interesting fact? You said something about security clearance, like that's pretty cool. And I'm like, man, all right, now I just want to know what else about you.
Well, I'm really boring, and I don't know if I have any fun facts, but one thing that I have been obsessing about is I love the show Silicon Valley that's on HBO. And so I watch that over and over again, because it just gives me, you know, it's art that imitates reality, of what it's like to own your own company. And so it's so funny, it's hilarious, and I'm watching it at least once a month.
I love it. All right, awesome. So you are the founder, CEO of HacWare. Before we, start diving into different topics, can you just give me a company overview of what you guys do?
Yeah, what we're doing here at Hackware is we are really helping MSPs educate all of their customers at scale on how to combat phishing attacks. And we're doing that with our software as a service platform. So it will generate phishing simulations that are tailored to each employee. It will recommend training that's short form to help them understand how to protect themselves, how to communicate online, how to do their job more securely. So we're a security awareness platform at heart, helping MSPs combat phishing attacks.
All right, excellent. So I know that HacWare integrates with different modern work solutions, but I want to dive specifically into the Microsoft capabilities. I know. I work on our Microsoft team here at PaxAid. I think we're all shocked. But I understand you guys utilize APIs to really make everything connect. So can you just kind of explain that part to me?
Absolutely. And we're excited about all of our integrations, but the Microsoft one, was really something that we thought about because we understand that managed service providers, they need a solution that integrates with their current stack, but also solve some of their problems. And so one of the things that our integration with the Microsoft API does for MSPs is it automates the onboarding experience for their users. So it will sync to the directory and it will pull in new emails that are found in the Microsoft system into HacWare. It will offboard them easily if those email addresses are removed. We sync to a security group if you want to have more control over user management. And the next thing that we do is we're making the phishing simulation experience easier for the MSP to deploy. So our platform will leverage Microsoft APIs to send a phishing simulation right into the employee's inbox. So that reduces the whitelisting that needs to be done, but also it helps prepare the employees for one of the most disarming types of attacks, which is called a business email compromise scam, where a cyber criminal may be using a employee's email address as a part of a phishing attack. And our platform simulates that with the direct email injection capability by leveraging the API. And then the final thing that we're leveraging with our Microsoft integrations is the ability to allow the MSPs, clients, employees to report suspicious emails. Like we're digitizing the see something, say something part of cybersecurity with that customizable fish reporter button that shows up in Microsoft platforms, whether it's a desktop or mobile application.
Oh, that is awesome. And it's so nice when it's just integrated directly in. I got a email recently and it was like, you must do this now. Click on this link. You're behind in your, security trainings and this and that. And I was like, I'm not clicking that link. It's time bound right now. I was like, this has phishing written.
Uh-huh.
I send it in and hit the button, keep going about my day. Something else comes through. I'm like, no, I'm not clicking this. You're not going to get me. Well, it turns out I really had not done my training. But hey, I think that's part of it. You know what I mean? Is just raising the tide. So I think, it's definitely changed in time. And I mean, it sounds like making it just so much more automated and easier for partners to really get this in the hands of their end customers. But if we just look at like the phishing landscape all up, can you just give me a rundown of what's going on?
Absolutely. This is where I spend a lot of my time in the threat intelligence space, looking at how cyber criminals are targeting companies of all sizes, but specifically to the small and mid-sized companies. I see cyber criminals are really trying to figure out how can they ensure that the phishing attack is successful. And what I mean by that is we have a lot of great email security tools that are scanning the emails, blocking the phishing attacks, and we're making it hard for the cyber criminals. But what's new in the phishing landscape is they are leveraging email attachments. And so here I'm showing you of a real phishing incident where they sent an email. They're often impersonating HR and payroll. Every organization is doing something with employment and payroll. And so cyber criminals are aware of that. But what's one of the things that they have pivoted to is they have been sending attachments, and not attachments with extensions that look weird and malicious. They're sending attachments that are valid. So PDF files. In this case, a cyber criminal was sending a corrupted Word document. And so the Word document, you tried to open it, you couldn't really see what's in it. And so here it's displaying a QR code so you can see the actual document. And so they're leveraging PDF documents with links or maybe QR codes to bypass some of these smart email security tools. But our people have to be aware of what these cyber criminals are doing so they're prepared to do their job in cybersecurity. And so that's one thing that I've seen happen. And then just a little quick tidbit on other things that I've seen, like when we've had incidents with tools that we're using, they're also saying open up this attachment so you can figure out how you can secure your environment from this type of attack. But really, it's a cyber criminal that has a link in that attachment displaying a site that is malicious, and they're asking you to put in your credentials and causing you to give away your sensitive information so they can use it to actually get into your systems.
It's so easy for them, it feels like at this point, because it's like, man, I feel like especially during COVID, right? Like they got rid of all the paper menus, right? And
Mhm,
everywhere you went, it was, scan this. And I think
mhm,
people have just gotten so accustomed to saying, like, oh, yeah, perfect. I just need the menu or whatever that is, that they're so quick to do
mhm.
it. So, do you scan QR codes ever?
I have to before I scan a QR code, I'm looking at I'm trying to validate the source of where am I? How
Yep,
likely is it that a cyber criminal is going to click on tamper with this? I'm looking to see if the
sure.
QR code has been tampered. And then oftentimes what I'll do is I'll Google to see is there a URL online from this trusted site that I can go to. If I don't have any of those opportunities, then if I do have the ability to see where that URL is going, then I'll click on it. But oftentimes, if I can't find, a resource online or ask someone if I'm at a restaurant about this QR code, oftentimes I'm not using it.
It's kind of what I figured. I
Mhm.
was going to a security event and I was like, man, I was talking to Matt Lee. I was like, yeah, no, I want to like show people this cool resource. I'm gonna put this QR code up there. And he was like, no, you're not. I was like, huh, you're right. I'm not going to. But I just it's so interesting the way that people just become so accustomed so quickly to something new in technology, right? You've got your Apple Pay, you've got your QR codes, all of these. But I think the world continues to change, especially with AI. But you guys are using AI in your phishing, but that means that other hackers and other people are probably using AI. So, what does this mean? Like, what are your thoughts on all of this? Because I think it's an interesting time that we're in right now.
It is a really interesting time. And I always like to tell people that when they think of cyber criminals, they're thinking about the marketing view of this dark, scary individual, and really a hacker looks just like you and I, educated just like you and I, and they're leveraging the tools that we're doing for our job for their gain. And so, in the generative AI space, where I've seen phishing AI in the phishing space on the rise, and actually, we're going to put in the description of this event that the FBI put out a PSA on what to look out for. But what we've seen is very similar. So they're leveraging generative AI tools to make sure that the phishing emails look more realistic. They don't have misspelled words. And before AI became big, that was something that I would always warn people on is don't 100% rely on the email having misspellings because in spear phishing attacks, they have corrected the spellings. And so that's no longer a giveaway. And so with generative AI, we don't have that luxury to look for misspelled words anymore. The other thing is that cyber criminals are also leveraging generative AI to build fake profiles online. They're building images, profile images where they look like they, maybe a everyday coworker. And the profile may have content in it that someone that's in your network would most likely have. And then the last thing that I'll also mention is they're using AI to generate videos. And in the political space, they've used AI to clone voices. But the one thing I want to mention on the videos piece is they're using that to defraud you and send out misinformation with those videos that they have created. And so I always tell people now that we have AI and cyber criminals are using them, one key thing to keep in mind is create a safe word, a secret key phrase that you're going to share with your loved ones. And if someone is reaching out to you and it looks real, but just always have them give you that secret phrase, almost like when I was a kid and I was growing up and my mom said, if someone ever tells you to come pick you up, this is the secret phrase that I would tell them, and you would know that they're real. And so same thing, you want to give them a secret word. And then the other thing that I would make sure you keep in mind is, never just share sensitive information. They're generating documents that look like real legal documents with generative AI. And so you want to make sure that you're hanging up or not interacting with those documents, pulling that information from a trusted source. And so those are a couple tips that I would say on how to try to make sure that you are strengthening your clients and your team against AI generated phishing attacks.
Man, the keyword, you just took me back all the way because I was like, man, maybe it was just because my dad was a cop. I don't know, but we definitely had that little safe word. But I mean, I think it makes sense. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
Especially like you can go in and somebody sent me like a fake podcast that they had put together. And somebody was like,
Mhm.
man, that sounds just like you, Kristen. I was like, I don't, I was thinking, I was like, I don't think I did that. I'm like, wait, no,
Yeah.
I didn't ever do this. Like, this wasn't me. So, I mean, that definitely makes sense. And the fact that, like, even the FBI is coming out and saying, like, hey, we need to take this seriously. This is important. I mean, it's showing that, hey, you know what? AI can be great in so many different ways. We just also need to be aware of our surroundings as we go forward. So that's an interesting one. Okay. I like it. I like it. We're getting there. So, looking at HacWare specifically, why would a partner look at adding this to their stack, right? So they've got, their business premium, hopefully, their MFAs on, all these great things. Why would they look at adding HacWare in?
I think this is a great question, and really, there's a couple reasons why. So when we opened up the session today, I talked about getting to the root cause of the cybersecurity problem. Phishing, that's the number one cybersecurity attack, and people are the number one reason why those attacks are successful. And so, oftentimes, the small businesses need to address that phishing concern. And so the phishing simulations help prepare those employees in that organization to address that phishing concern. The other reasons why small businesses want security awareness other than phishing is because they may work in a heavily regulated industry where security awareness is a part of a cybersecurity framework that they have to follow. And so, if they need to follow the CIS controls, security awareness is control 14, you're helping them stay in compliance with that by offering a security awareness solution. And then the final reason why small businesses are buying cybersecurity awareness is cybersecurity insurance. It's getting harder and harder to get cybersecurity insurance now. And one of the ways that companies can get that to address if there's a ransomware attack that happens, the cybersecurity insurance company is going to pay it out, but they have to show that they are reducing their risk to an outbreak. And so, security awareness training is something that those companies need.
Oh, that's a great point. I mean, we've talked a lot about cybersecurity insurance and what does that mean? And you're right, it's getting really hard to just get it because of all of these things they're talking about right now. So, no, I think that's a great point to add on. So that definitely makes sense. But I think as we look to kind of explore, what are we really doing with this phishing? Like, why are we doing the phishing simulations? Like, what are we really training with these?
And this is a great question, Kristen. I think um, there's three really important reasons of why we should go through phishing simulations. So phishing simulations is a form of experiential learning, and it helps bridge the gap between what they have learned in a video or what they may have learned from a handout to actually put it into practice. And so it helps them to be able to, when they're in the middle of a real phishing attack, they've had the practice, they know to report those incidents, they know to what to look out for. And so it's about helping them bridge the gap on the knowledge that they've learned to actually doing something about it. Um, and the other key thing is why phishing simulations are important. It really helps them. They have to be relevant, so it really helps them to be prepared on what's coming, to know what a suspicious email looks like. And as I mentioned earlier, the reason why we're having phishing attacks that are on the rise is because people have just a lack of education on what should they look out for, how are cyber criminals targeting them today. And so it's really important to give them that exposure with a phishing simulation. And so I think it's all about helping them to really just have more familiarity with it. And also from my background of working with the military, it helps them understand, like, what are the standard operating procedures of if I get this phishing email, what am I supposed to do? And so it's really important for that. And so, yeah, those are some of the reasons why phishing should be incorporated into an MSP's practice.
No, it's totally making sense. And I mean, on that last graphic that came up, I mean, I think the phones are such an interesting one
Mhm.
because, look, I mean, before I sit down at my computer, sometimes I'll be scrolling through my phone real quick. Like, are there any emails, from whether it's APAC or wherever it is overnight that I got? And especially when you see, immediately, or you see the all caps, or you see something, you grabbed your eye. And I feel like on the phone, it's so, like, people are a little bit more trusting. Maybe they're very quick to click things. So if they're going to go in and they're going to, like, it's literally that easy where they would just be able to report it directly from their phone as well, not just their computer.
Absolutely. It helps them to report it from their phone, but also, as you mentioned, the text message based phishing attacks are more disarming ones because we're not expecting them. And so, with these phishing attacks, it's helping us to pause, to be on alert, and to look and to try to decipher, is this email or text message coming from a trusted source? If not, I'm going to report it and let the experts decipher if this is actually a suspicious email or text message.
I think it's a mindset shift too, because I'm like, I don't know why this would be any different than my computer, but for some reason to
Mhm.
me, I'm like, huh, it's just my phone. Right. So, yeah, I think it's a little bit of the retraining, and I think it's raising the tide as we go. So, I mean, this is what you guys do, this is what you guys specialize in, right? So, how do
Mhm.
you measure like the success of a phishing campaign?
Well, there's a couple ways. So in the industry, there's three common ways that you're going to measure the success of a phishing campaign. You're going to measure by failure rate or click through rates. And so that's a key indicator that the employees in that organization aren't able to decipher if this email is a phishing email or a real email. The second tried and true way is reports. So using that fish reporter button that's in your inbox, that's measuring engagement. And so that shows that you want to see over time that your organization is continuing to stay engaged in reporting those phishing incidents. And then the last and final way to measure the success of your phishing campaigns are open rates. So looking just to see how many times has this employee opened this email, and oftentimes um, you can sort of determine that if the employee has opened this email 10 times, they're having a hard time trying to determine if this phishing simulation is real. And so that can create some concern on how we need to better train our employees. And then one final thing that isn't common, that is new and interesting, is looking at just the behavioral insights of the employees in the campaign. So, how fast did they open the email? Is another key indicator where it's showing you that they haven't paused to sort of look at the inbox before they click and open it. So those are a couple ways that you can put those metrics, those KPIs in place to make sure your users are engaged in your security awareness, in your phishing campaigns.
I like it. I like it. And I think that makes sense with the opening 10 times. It's funny. Like
Mhm,
sometimes within our team, we've got this big group chat and Teams, and somebody will take a
mhm.
screenshot of it and they're like, "Did you guys get this email? Is this what I think it is?" And it's funny. Like now you see people actually like talking about it and like double checking with people like, "Do you also get this?" Or "Is this spooky?"
Mhm.
So I think it's definitely raising the tide as we go. But there's a myth out there that I would love to debunk, right? And so some people just think that training in cybersecurity just aren't effective. And if that's true, like what do we do at that point? Because I think that, it's kind of just this misconception that cybersecurity trainings people put on like, what is the fast forward 8 where you can't really understand what they're saying and they just get through to the end. So what are your thoughts?
I think it's the data does not lie. And so the data shows that security awareness training is the number one way to combat phishing attacks. Security awareness training also helps you to reduce it provides the most return on your investment because you're focusing on helping your people understand what phishing looks like. We're reducing the incidents that are happening later. Incidents are more expensive for small and medium sized businesses, and so, security awareness training, when it's a comprehensive training program, it's the number one way to stop phishing attacks because we are helping our people to understand how they are a part of the cybersecurity stack. As I showed you before, Kristen, the attachment that had the QR code in it, many solutions wouldn't have caught that. And so we have to train our people on what to look out for and how to be that layer of defense to protect themselves and their company.
Man, 70% of data breaches involve a person, and that's just them either on their phone. So, goodness, I think that, it's all super, super important. So, I want to say first, like, thank you for coming on. I feel like the show has just flown by, but any final thoughts that you have for us?
Yeah, well, number one, thank you to the team here for having me here. I really think it's important how we have to make sure that we're spending the time to upskill our partners on how they can protect these small businesses. And this is a way where it is a passive way for them to learn. And so, one last tip that I would like to share with all of the partners out there is HacWare. We're focused on security awareness. We're focusing on automating your security awareness platform. You can find us in the Pax8 marketplace, and you can learn more about us at hackware.com.
I love it. Tiffany, thank you so much for your time. I really, really enjoyed this conversation. I hope to have you back soon.
Thank you.
Absolutely. All right, everybody. You heard from Tiffany. Make sure you check them out in the Pax8 marketplace at HacWare. But I want to make sure we throw it over to the co-pilot tip of the week with Ashley Moretti.
Do you want to save time creating a PowerPoint presentation? With Copilot, you can take a content outline and upload it into the PowerPoint document, and Copilot will create your presentation for you. Here, we have a PowerPoint presentation opened, and within the PowerPoint application itself, we can see that Copilot is natively integrated into the application. By clicking the Copilot button in the ribbon, It then will open Copilot for us to use when creating a PowerPoint presentation. Now I have some bullet points that I would like to use, and I would like to ask Copilot to take those bullet points and generate them into slides to save me time. One thing I love to do is be friendly to my Copilot, always say hi, and always use kind words like please. I hope that it makes my presentation even better. So let's go ahead and prompt Copilot using those bullet points that I have. Now we prompted Copilot with our ask, and so we just wait for Copilot to generate the output. Now know this may take a couple minutes because Copilot is busy working, reviewing your information, and then building those beautiful slides. And here we have it. Copilot was able to take those bullet points I inputted into the prompt and create beautiful slides on the latest updates and capabilities in Microsoft. Thank you for tuning in to this week's Copilot Tip of the Week. We'll catch you next time.
Thank you so much, Ashley, for our Copilot Tip of the Week. Thank you so much for tuning in as well. But if you didn't catch us live, don't forget you can always check it out on demand. Please make sure you like, share, subscribe, because there's a lot of really great shows out there that we are doing with PAX 8. You don't want to miss out on those. Next week, it's going to be myself and David Powell covering, you guessed it, AI, cybersecurity, modern work. We'll see you there, everybody.